Good morning. Welcome to the YMCA Community Breakfast. I'm Dave Morgan. I'm the CEO of the YMCA of Greater Kalamazoo, and I want to thank a few people and welcome you all here today. Special thanks to our elected officials, our educators, our community leaders, and all of you that have taken time from your busy days to come out here and celebrate the YMCA and the work that we've been doing. A special thanks to our sponsors, both our supporting sponsor, Consumers Energy, and our presenting sponsor, CalSec, for making today possible. Thank you very much. So, this is my speech, but I don't usually use that very often. So, what I will tell you, about 4 days ago, my staff came to me and said, hey, we want you to tell your story. And my response was, besides an eye roll, was, ugh. No one wants to hear my story, but I'm going to tell a story a little bit about myself, but my parents and my brother, and tell you kind of some past and interventions that take place that change circumstances quite a bit. So let me first tell you about my mom. My mom was, in all essence, a wonderful person. People just loved her, gravitated towards her, but many didn't know the secrets that I knew, which was that my mom suffered severely with depression, alcoholism, and I can tell you there were many times that I spent checking her pulse while she laid in a chair, wondering if she was still alive. And those are experiences that no child should go through. I can tell you that my mom, as wonderful as she was, her life ended as tragically as I would have expected. I got a call one day, and my mom had passed away the night before, and what had happened was, much like we expected, she had been drinking, fell down the basement stairs, and because of my mom's pride about her life and what was expected, she refused medical treatment and passed away in her sleep. My mom's life, the depression, stemmed from the fact that when her dad died in his 40s, my mom thought that was her life, that was her destiny. And so she did everything she could to try to fulfill that destiny. The alcoholism took over her life, and that was her sole focus. My dad, who was a great athlete by all standards, he was playing overseas. He was in the military at the time and was so good playing baseball that the St. Louis Cardinals approached him. A scout noticed him and said, hey, we'd like you to come try out. Unfortunately, June 25th, 1950 roughly, which is the day the Korean War broke out. So by July, my dad, who was in the Signal Corps and ended up becoming a lineman and an engineer and worked for the utility, spent most of his July 1950 and on beyond running wire during the Korean War. But Korea changed him, and he also drank heavily. His days, but I would call my dad my dad was a little bit different. He was what I would call a functional alcoholic. He could go to work every day and do a great job, but by 5 o'clock he was home, and he was either at home drinking a 3-finger brandy and water, or he was going down to the local tavern or the VFW, and that's where him and my mom would be until I dragged them home. So those were my parents. And again, I can't complain about my life. There was food on the table, there was a roof over my head, and there were many, many families today that we see that are much worse off. So let's get to my brother and myself. So we're about 12 years apart, so it's roughly 2 families. My brother, at the age of 13, dropped out of school and went a different path. He followed my parents' lessons in some respects. Drugs and alcohol, he found himself homeless. His tragedy ended to the point where, while he was homeless, I got a call one day because he had fallen and hit his head. He spent the next year of his life in a facility in Wisconsin suffering from a traumatic brain injury that he never fully recovered from. Lost his speech, lost most of his body movement, and I watched him simply just dwindle away because of the drugs, alcoholism, and the events that were part of his life. At 13, I was doing some of the same things. I found myself in the back of a police car a couple times that I probably shouldn't have. School was not that important to my family. My parents didn't even graduate high school and didn't find it of anything significant value. But when I was around 1978, we moved to a neighborhood that was a block and a half from a YMCA. And that was my home. I spent a lot of time there. At 13, I was lucky enough to have a young sports director see me. He simply saw a kid that didn't see a kid that came from a strange family, didn't see a kid that was causing problems, because as many know, I used to sneak into the Y, get kicked out, sneak into the Y, get kicked out. It was rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And he should have, by all standards, just kicked me out and never seen me again. But he saw me. He saw something in me. And he simply gave me an opportunity to volunteer at the age of 13. He gave me my first job at 16. I was fortunate enough to go to college and change my life, but it all simply changed by that one experience. You know, his efforts were simple, but the effects were profound. I would not be here today if it was not for somebody seeing me. And so, you know, I appreciate all that the Y does. I appreciate all that you are doing to make the YMCA possible for many, many kids. And so with that, I would like to invite Scott up here. Oh, by the way, I was supposed to show that. That's a rough group, I gotta tell you. Yeah, that's, by the way, they put a little thing on here that says, click this, and I couldn't even follow that instruction. So with that, I'd like to ask Scott to come up here and say a few words as a sponsor from, as representative of CalSec. So thank you very much.
Oh, that was an amazing story, and thanks, Dave, for sharing that with everybody. And it says a lot about the potential and what we can do at the YMCA for people. So first, I just want to welcome everybody to the annual breakfast and say good morning to everybody. Okay, I think we've been through this before. The way it works is you got to feel all the energy, which is really the gratitude for all of the Y staff and all of the hard work and the amount of activity it takes to bring everything together. So I'm going to say, are you up for this? And you're going to say, heck yes, Scott, bring it. Okay, so are you guys up for this? Yes. All right. I know you don't have a copy of this 3-minute speech, but I'm going to cue you around through it. So I've been a member of the Y for 27 years, and this is the only math portion of the program that I'm going to have. So I know some of you are saying, wow, he must have joined when he was 22 years old, right? Anybody out there thinking that? If you were, thank you for that. I want to just say thank you for all of the people in this room. And there's a lot of great donors. There's a lot of individual contributors, a lot of great volunteers, a lot of hardworking employees that are at the Y, great corporate sponsors that do a lot for the YMCA and a lot in this community. And it's so inspiring to all of us at CalSec in that. And I think before we go any further, let's just say a big round of applause and thank you for all of those people. I want to say at CalSec, the YMCA, like other organizations, are very important to CalSec, and we really contribute heavily in the area of childhood education. And it means a lot to us because we've studied quite a bit and worked on that, and we know the importance that childhood education and experiences has for kids, and it makes a huge difference in how the outcomes are for kids. And so giving to organizations that do so much for our youth is a big part of what we believe in, and we're so happy to be here. And I'm just going to challenge somebody. So somebody at the end of this speech is going to say, we got to get somebody else up there. And so take this away from CalSec, and we'll find other ways to give to the Y and become a corporate sponsor and a presenting sponsor. So it's wide open, and I thank you for those that'll step forward and do that. Okay, so this is the edgy part of the 3-minute talk. So yesterday was Super Tuesday, right? And that has a lot of connotation for an election. Today is Wonderful Wednesday, so that's a little bit different. And one thing that happens in the election is you learn a lot about just the different opinions about the country and that. So, I think most of us know we do live in a great country, and most of us know that there are a lot of things we have to fix, and most of us know that it's not the same experience for everybody, but there's a lot of great ideas that come out of that, and there's a lot of great ways to improve things. And so we look at people that would find a way to help us in that, and there's differences of opinion on that. But there's a lot of things that are going well and a lot of things that need help. And I'd ask you to think about some of those things in the community that we live in, because our community is a great representation of what the country is in the U.S. And so we have great wealth, we have great generosity. This community, I think the one thing that we don't often recognize is that it's so giving to the causes and to the support of people that are in need and programs that need to be supported by donations and that. So we're in a great community that way, and we have a lot of issues on our own that we have to work on and fix. So I'm getting to the close now too, so that's part of the program. If I went around the room, I'd ask a lot of you in here, like, what is your favorite restaurant? Where is a favorite place that you like to eat? And a lot of you would have a lot of different answers. There'd be a lot of similarity. Some of you would say the Culinary Cafe at KVCC is a great place. Others would say, I go down this place, I love this place. But very few, I believe, in here would say that my favorite place to eat is a YMCA. And with that, I could tell you that in 2019, we served over 21,000 snacks. We served over 600 meals. And for many kids that have an experience at the Y, a lot of it has to do with that they get to eat there. And kids come to that Y that are hungry, kids that don't have an alternative to go home and eat. It may be dark, there may be no one at home, and so they come to the Y, and the Y actually feeds them. And we started out feeding people 3 days a week this year, and now it's 5 days a week. So I often hear this, and it really reminds me, and I learned this over the 27 years. The Y is not just a swim and gym. It does so much for the community, and it helps those kids. And what it really gives them is a chance to have a great experience and a lot of lessons in life, from tutoring and homework to team sports to all of the things they learn there. And so I could ask you to think about that. Referencing the election, just imagine you had the wealth of Donald Trump or you had the wealth of Bloomberg, and when you get that donation card out, feel like you're one of those guys and just give till like doesn't even matter to you. So you'll be helping a lot, and you'll be really expanding what the Y can do. So I'm going to close now, and I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm going to prompt you for the answer you should give. So I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite place to eat in Kalamazoo? And I'd like you to say, it's at the YMCA annual campaign breakfast. So, where is your favorite place to eat in Kalamazoo? YMCA annual campaign breakfast. All right, that's pretty good. So thank you, everybody, and I'm going to ask Ben to come up now.
Thank you, Scott, for being such a good partner and for CalSec support for this event. Good morning, everybody. As Scott said, my name is Ben Davis. I serve as the Chief Advancement Officer at the Y, and I am thrilled and a little bit scared to see such a packed room this morning. And the first thing I want to do is acknowledge the work that it takes to make an event like this happen. I want to thank our 30-something table hosts for getting the word out, for inviting your friends and your colleagues to be here. I want to call out a few of our staff by name specifically for their help. Our Marketing Director, Vicki Kettner, and Devaney Block, who's our Development Director and really is the master organizer for this event. So would you please join me in thanking them for their work. I'm so proud to work for this organization that does so much good in this community and across the country and really around the world, and that welcomes everyone inside its walls no matter what their potential barriers might be. Growing up, my story was a little bit different from Dave's. I did grow up at the Y, I just didn't sneak in. Although my brother and I did climb the fence more than once to use the tennis courts after hours. My family joined the Y in my hometown of Sydney, Ohio in 1985. And for 35 years now, I've been a Y member, volunteer, donor, and/or staff member. And from those experiences, I know, and I've seen the firsthand, the impact that the Y has on families and youth and seniors who need a place to be their best selves and to be seen and known and supported like I believe only the YMCA can do. As leaders in business and education and nonprofit and other areas of our community, you know, as Scott alluded to, that there are significant resources in this community, but that there is also tremendous need. In Kalamazoo County, 38% of households can't afford basic needs, like housing, childcare, food, transportation, and healthcare. And the Y believes that everyone needs and deserves access to life-changing programs for youth development, for healthy living, and social responsibility, no matter who you are, where you come from, and what circumstances are impacting your financial situation. And so that's why it's part of our mission to ensure that nobody is turned away from YMCA programs and services and membership based on their ability to pay. We can't say no, and we don't say no when someone needs help towards their membership, or programs like chronic disease prevention, preschool, swim lessons, sports, summer day camp. And it's our annual campaign that makes it possible for us to do that. And I want to illustrate for you the growth in just the last couple of years in the reach and the impact of our financial assistance program. Back in 2017, 4,369 individuals received financial assistance from the Y. In just 1 year, in 2018, we awarded financial assistance to over 6,200 individuals, and then in 2019, that grew to almost 9,500. And that's an increase, yes. That's an increase of 117% in just 2 years' time. And to share the financial impact numbers as well, in that same amount of time, the amount of assistance that we awarded to those individuals grew from $195,000 in 2017 to $256,000 in 2018 to just under $500,000 just last year. And that's growth of 155% in the same time frame. And that creates a huge funding gap that membership dues and program fees alone don't cover. That's why we have our YMCA annual campaign, for which we will be asking your support later. We have a lot of work to do, and we need your help. But there is some good news. First, thanks to generous gifts from the Oakland Foundation and the Suzanne Parrish Foundation, we started the year with having 25% of our goal already raised. I'm also happy to tell you that there are a number of individuals who have already led the way in showing their generosity to the campaign, and that's our staff team. These are people that come to work every day, every week, ready to put their gifts and skills and training and talents into serving kids and families and seniors at the Y. And we asked them to lead the way in giving to the campaign a little earlier this year. And 114 YMCA employees have already made gifts totaling almost $19,000 towards the annual campaign. And that's from all levels of the organization. That's lifeguards, childcare, exercise instructors, tennis coaches, you name it. They're the ones that put our mission into practice every day, and I'm really inspired by the way they have stepped up to lead by example, and I hope that you are too. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Jeffrey Bogan to introduce our keynote speaker. Dr. Bogan is principal of Maple Street Magnet School for the Arts, our neighbors right across the street from the Y. He sits on the YMCA Board of Directors and serves as our volunteer chair of this year's annual campaign. He has a passion for this issue of equity in education, as well as a special connection to this morning's keynote speaker. So please give him a warm welcome as he kicks off the rest of our morning.
Good morning. It's good to see everybody out. Again, my name is Jeff Bogan, and this morning I have the distinct privilege of introducing our esteemed keynote speaker, Kimberly Carter. And good morning to you. I haven't said good morning to you. Good morning. Kimberly Carter is the superintendent of Battle Creek Public Schools, which is actually my hometown. They got a steal, by the way. I don't know how Battle Creek got her. I wanted you to stay here, but Battle Creek has you, and they are blessed to have you. And so she works there to create systems of change to ensure all children have access to and the benefit of a high-quality, equitable public education. With over 20 years of experience in public education, her work remains centered in equity, inclusivity, and success for every child that she serves. Prior to her time in Battle Creek, Superintendent Carter served Kalamazoo Public Schools for 14 years as a teacher and elementary school principal. During this tenure, she served on the YMCA's board of directors and became familiar with the YMCA of Greater Kalamazoo's academic program at Lincoln International Studies School, a program in which her son Tony would both eventually serve on the YMCA staff. This successful program has since expanded to Washington Writers Academy, where her youngest son, Aaron, currently serves on staff. In addition to her work as superintendent, Superintendent Carter serves on the board of directors for Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Superintendent's Advisory Council for Western Michigan University, and the Educator Preparation Governing Council for Western Michigan University. Through her role as an educator and community advocate, Superintendent Carter is proud to be living the legacy of her grandmother, Janet Marie Robinson, who showed her early on that strong African-American female has the ability to create change in the community. Yet she's even prouder to share with her staff and community the unique opportunity and ability to impact thousands of young lives every day by offering them hope and transformation through education. And let me personally say, if not for Superintendent Carter, I would not be here today. Some years ago, while she was serving on the YMCA board of directors, she invited me. I don't know if you remember this. We were at a union meeting, and she invited me to this very breakfast. And it was that invitation that increased my relationship with the YMCA here in Kalamazoo. Now, again, I'm born and raised in Battle Creek, and so I grew up at the Y in Battle Creek, and so I have a strong connection there, but it was your leadership, your inspiration, and that invitation that strengthened my relationship with the YMCA here. And so, if not for you, I would not be here. So thank you for your leadership and your passion and your inspiration. And so let's give a warm welcome to Superintendent Carter.
Good morning. Now, if you thought you were going to just stay asleep this early in the morning, that is not going to happen, right? We are all here for a purpose, and it is with great pleasure. Thank you so much, Jeff, for that wonderful introduction. Some of it true, I'm not sure of all of it, but again, I thank you for that. It is a privilege to stand before you today and talk a little bit about my passion, which is being a champion for children. You know, in the words of Whitney Houston, I do believe that children are our future. And I thought about singing, but then I knew that you wouldn't stay. So I'm going to continue on and just share a couple of the things that I've learned along the way. So today they asked me to talk about equity in education. And equity in education, as stated, is my passion because I believe that all should truly mean all. Not all if you have a good background, not all if you can have food at home, not all if your parents have a full-time job, not if you don't have a parent that has an alcohol problem. All means all, and that's what equity in education is all about. And so today, I hope that there are 3 takeaways that you leave here with. And these are takeaways that I kind of anchor all of my work on. And I say this over and over in the district with my staff, that first and foremost, equity is about opportunity. That we don't have an achievement gap. What we really have is an opportunity gap. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I also constantly use the quote that's one of my favorite, that doing something is better than doing nothing, and nothing should never be an option. And then the third takeaway is that together we can make a world of difference. When I was planning, I thought, okay, I could throw out a bunch of numbers and we could talk a lot about statistics, But I'm not going to do that for the entire presentation, but I believe there are a few that underscore the importance of why you're here today. Like the fact that there are 90,000 traditional public schools across the United States educating more than 50 million children. And that despite a widespread access to free public education, did you know that there are 30 million adults that are below the third grade reading level, that are below the third grade writing level, that are below the third grade math level? 30 million adults. I also want you to know that there are 75% of the state prison inmates did not complete high school and can be classified as low literate, and that low literacy is connected to over $230 billion a year in healthcare costs, because almost half of the Americans can't read the information that was placed in front of them, which increases their costs. But what's most startling to me is that 1 in 5 children do not have access to success, which is college. They have not had the opportunity to achieve what we know leaves a legacy, and that is having a college education. But I don't want to just talk about numbers, because numbers are really children. And so today I want to take a moment and tell you a couple of stories that kind of talk about experiences like what Dave shared with us this morning. I'd prefer to talk about children. I want you to think about the children who wake up every day, get themselves dressed, get themselves out the door, and make sure that they greet the smiling faces from the bus stop to the cafeteria to the teacher in the classroom, despite not having had a meal that night, maybe not even having a nice place to sleep. But despite all of the obstacles and hardships that they are faced with, they get up every morning to go to school. I also want to talk about Lucy, not a real student, but she absolutely is one of those students that I have had the opportunity to work with on a regular basis in my career. And she is one of those students whose mother works a third shift, comes home, races into the house, gets her up for school, gets them on the bus, and then heads to another job, because that's what she needs to do in order to ensure that her family has what they need to be successful. We could also talk about our high school student, Paul, who loves his family so much that he has placed upon himself the responsibility of holding an full-time job to help pay the bills while trying to complete his education. Each of these children, along with their family members, are doing the best they can to thrive, excel, overcome, and succeed despite the hardships associated with the lack of access to adequate resources. The unfortunate reality is that on average, disadvantaged students have a harder time accessing the benefits of education. For many students and families that struggle, there is no internet access at home or annual family trip. There's no museum visit or funds for digital resources. Today, 51% of students in U.S. public schools, which is over 25 million children, live in poverty. They lack the access to healthy foods, school attendance, and stability at home. These are the things that they are working to make sure that they have available as they try to show up and attend in school. I share these stories to illustrate that a lot of the students have more on their plates than just reading, writing, and arithmetic. But let's be clear. What we don't have is an achievement gap. What we truly have is an opportunity gap. Equity is about opportunity. When we talk about equity in education, we're talking about opportunity. We are talking about whether society we have set up every child for success, regardless of their zip code, their race, their background, their social status. When we talk about equity in education, we are admitting that what we are facing is a systemic problem, not a kid problem. All students can learn if given the opportunity to do so. They can achieve. And the most important question is whether or not we have given them the opportunity to succeed. Children are our future. And what we know is that education is critical to creating social mobility and reducing income inequality. However, under our current system, opportunities and the access varies for different groups of students. In his March on Washington, Dr. King said, "We have a fierce urgency of now." The unfortunate thing is that that urgency continues today. So today I'm asking that you reframe your language, accept the challenge of closing the opportunity gap. When we reframe our language from achievement gap to opportunity gap, we place the focus on the obstacles that children face rather than the circumstances within which they were born. We seek to answer the questions. If our students had food to eat, could they concentrate on learning? If they had access to digital resources, could they explore beyond their neighborhood to increase their knowledge and understanding? And if all children had quality childcare, educational supplies, digital resources at home, adequate health care, nutrition, and sleep, could they perform at the same level as their well-resourced peers? Most importantly, if we resourced students properly, could they thrive? I contend that the answer is absolutely, because I've seen it and I know that they can. When students don't learn, our communities cannot prosper. And that's why all of you are in this room today. Equity in education means that we commit to ensuring that every child receives what they need to succeed, because the cost of ignoring is just far too high. The greatest investment we can make is an investment in our children. This would improve our economic productivity and our global competitiveness if we just invest in our children. So what can we do? We can work together to create success for our children. No single one of us is as great as the sum of us. There are many solutions that address the gap outside of the school walls. From better housing options to criminal justice reform, there are many things that we can do, but what we know is that if we do them together, we can disrupt the inequities that exist within our community and make sure that every child learns. We are all accountable for student outcomes. We can and we must do better as a community. While the world in which we live distributes talent equally, it does not equally distribute opportunity. And that's what we're here to do. It's programs like the YMCA that disrupt those inequities and create opportunity. There are consequences for inaction. Without community support, our children are more at risk for missing school, dropping out, and failing to earn a high school diploma. Understanding the complexity of change associated with disrupting the inequities is why I served on the YMCA Board of Education, and it's why I now serve on the board for the Big Brothers and Big Sisters organization. It takes a village to change outcomes, and it is so exciting to see the village show up and be ready to show out for kids today. They deserve every opportunity to achieve, and I know that given the opportunity, we can collectively create success. So how do we close that achievement gap? Just a few things. We can offer programs that give students extra time and attention. For parents that are working and students who need more time to learn, after-school programs are critical. Consider the fact that by 6th grade, middle-class students have spent more than 4,000 more hours in after-school and summer learning programs than low-income students. But we expect low-income students to come to school and still learn at the same rate. We've got to do better. We also know that 9.7 million more children would take part in after-school programs if they had the opportunity and if those programs existed. We can and we should do better. We also know that every dollar invested in an after-school program saves $9. Organizations have also successfully helped close the opportunity gap by offering summer learning programs. And my two sons have had the experience of working in the summer learning program with the YMCA, and they come home talking about all of the great things that they've done with children. Now, before working for the Y, I couldn't have paid them to become an educator. They were like, absolutely not. Now, I have a son who is completing his final year at Western Michigan University who went there for sports management and came home and said, my mind. Wait, what? You changed your mind? Yes, because over the last couple of years, I've been working for the Y, Mom, and you were right. I want to go into education. Okay. So I'm very proud of that opportunity, and I know that when we have programs that are helping kids walk into their potential, that we can change. And now I have a senior at Kalamazoo Central who is also working in the YMCA and has decided that he is also going to be an African American male elementary teacher. The children in our community deserve so much more than what can be offered by their teachers and school leaders alone. But the good news is that when schools and communities and organizations work together, they can disrupt the inequities that exist for the children and create opportunities to live their lives to the full. By helping our most vulnerable students stay in school and succeed in life, we are building stronger, healthier, and more economically stable communities where every person is capable of reaching his or her greatest potential. As I've stated, I've had the opportunity to be personally connected to the YMCA on various levels. But don't just take it from me. I want you to hear from my oldest son, Tony, about his experience at the YMCA.
Hi, I'm Tony. I've been a Y member since the 7th grade. I work at the Y Program Center at Lincoln Elementary Study School. I work with the 2nd and 3rd graders. Either we start with homework and then we go to the computer lab or the gym. We usually do after-school activities to keep them out of trouble. I had the same help when I was younger, so knowing that I can impact another children's education, it's a great feeling. After-school study programs was a big thing for me because I played football and basketball, so they helped me keep my grades up so that I could keep participating in the sports. So I do the same for the children to make sure that they can play sports and go to high school and follow the same path that I did. As a promised student, I'm showing the other students that they can also graduate and go on to college just as I have done. When I want to play basketball or weightlift, I go to the Maple Y. Most of my friends either have Y memberships or go to the Y occasionally, so it's more of a friendly environment for me. Like working out, it's very clean and people lift and take their own time. There's no rush, I feel comfortable. I can do my own thing without feeling as if somebody's watching me or I have to prove something to somebody. It's just a relaxing place to work out. Working at the Y, I learned that the little things could change another person's life.
And that's my baby. And so I conclude with several years ago, Dr. Mark Orby, he's a well-respected professor at Western Michigan University, introduced me to the concept of Demela. Derived from the Sotho language, which is spoken primarily in South Africa, the literal translation of the word Demela is hello, good day, good night, but more important is the spirit of the word. When spoken to someone else, Demela represents a deep level of acknowledgement. It means I see you, I affirm you, and I see your great potential. I want you to turn to your neighbor right now and say, Demela. Today, I challenge each one of you to help sow seeds of the spirit of the word Demela into the lives of children so that every child enters adulthood with the knowledge, skills, habits, and agency they need to realize their full potential. Today, I say to each one of you, Demela, and I thank you for all that you do.
These eyes see you, eyes see you, I see you, I am you. A mother's hands clasped, saying the Lord's Prayer, waiting for her son to come home. It's midnight. A boy sits on the edge of a hospital bed as his father wrestles with the diagnosis. Type 2, he's diabetic. A kindergarten teacher asks the class, what does the word strawberry start with? They say S, a little girl says F, because at home they are called fresa. They tell her she's wrong, but who's right? Bilingual, first generation. A man looks in the mirror, struggling with identity. He was born Rebecca, but can only see Robert. They say she's wrong. He says transgender, disabled, and the pain of hunger is drowned out by the highway overpass, which has become the ceiling of his dwelling. He served our country and now waits in line to find a free meal, hungry and homeless. The overcrowded class is only matched by the bedroom she shares with 6 siblings. Her homework isn't reading, writing, and arithmetic, but dishes, dinner, and bedtime stories. Her mother is at work. She's both parent and sister. Smiling ear to ear, even though his wife of 50 years has just passed. It's the pain of her absence being masked in his laugh, and he's lonely, looking for a place to belong. These eyes see you, eyes see you, I see you, I am you. I am the teen late night where that son has been with his friends. I am the support group for that father with diabetes. I am the kindergarten program that says strawberry starts with S and F. I am the safe place that sees people, not pronouns. I am the hand serving those who served our country. I am the classroom support that helps you with homework so you can do homework. I am the table chairs, the pot of coffee that invites everyone to belong so no one needs to be alone. I am why. Find strength in your eyes that hope, your eyes that dream, your eyes that see the possibility of tomorrow and the promise of today. I am the one who hopes with you, I am the one who dreams with you. I am why, and I see you.
What's up? Hey,
Good morning.
good morning again.
All right, I'm Megan Weinberg, and I am the Managing Director of Abraxas and Portage, and I'm here as a proud board member of our local Y. I'll be really honest, I am terrified standing in front of you today because I hate public speaking, but I hope that that is a really important message about how important this is to me, that I am willing to stand in front of you and talk about the great work that the Y does.
Good morning again. My name is Jeff Bogan. I've had the privilege of serving on the board of directors here at the YMCA since 2012. And she's not nervous anymore.
I'm a little better now.
She's over it now, yeah.
The video that we just watched powerfully illustrates our human need to be seen, known, and understood.
Through our programs for youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility, our YMCA truly sees and serves those who might otherwise not know where they fit in our community.
The child who needs a meal.
The family struggling with a scary health diagnosis.
The single parent trying to manage it all and still provide a nurturing environment.
Through your support, the YMCA can continue to be a force for equity in health and education and truly build healthy spirits, souls, and bodies for all.
And now is the time that we would like to ask for you to thoughtfully consider supporting the YMCA's annual campaign so we can continue to do more of the great work you've heard about this morning. I'm going to tell a little story. Ben Davis, who spoke a little earlier, said to me a couple of weeks ago that he doesn't like that old adage of give until it hurts, because why would we want you to hurt? That's exactly the opposite of what the Y does. Ben wants you to give until it feels good. And I liked that. I thought it was really clever, and so I just stole it. And now I'm here asking you to please give until it feels good today so that we can keep giving back to the community. Now, there are some necessary logistics for that, of course. So there are pledge cards, envelopes, and pens at the center of each of your tables. Your table hosts can help distribute those, and then they'll be able to collect those from you once you've had a moment to fill them out.
After you complete your pledges, our CEO, Mr. Dave Morgan, will be back to dismiss you.
Thank you for helping the YMCA continue to build strong kids, strong families, and a strong community.
Before too many people leave, I just want to say thank you again for coming today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to support the YMCA and our efforts. Thank you for your generosity today, and I wish you all a great day. And after your gift, you are free to go. So thank you very much for being here today. I appreciate it.